Why certain thoughts stay with us longer than others. Some thoughts pass through the mind quickly, barely noticed, while others stay with us for hours, sometimes days, quietly returning when we least expect them. These thoughts are not always dramatic or emotional, yet they carry a weight that makes them linger. They don't demand attention loudly, but they remain present, shaping how we reflect and respond. Understanding why this happens reveals a great deal about awareness and timing. Not all thoughts arrive in the same way. Many are triggered by external noise, conversations, content, daily obligations, and they fade as quickly as they appear. But the thoughts that stay tend to arrive during moments of stillness. When the mind is not rushing toward the next task, it becomes more receptive. In these moments, awareness opens space for certain ideas to settle rather than pass through. Often, it is not the thought itself that gives it power, but the internal state in which it appears. When attention slows, perception sharpens. The mind begins to recognize patterns instead of reacting automatically. Thoughts that align with unresolved questions or unacknowledged feelings naturally feel more significant. Not because they are extraordinary, but because they touch something already present beneath the surface. This is why timing matters. A thought introduced too early is ignored. Introduced too late, it feels obvious. But when it appears at the right moment, when awareness is ready, it feels relevant. This relevance is not coincidence. It is the result of internal readiness meeting external input, allowing meaning to form naturally. Many people assume that thoughts carry inherent meaning, but meaning is not fixed. It is constructed through attention and reflection. A thought gains weight when it connects with experience, when it helps organize confusion, or when it offers a perspective that brings clarity. Without engagement, even the most profound idea dissolves quickly. As awareness grows, the relationship with thoughts changes. Instead of reacting immediately, the mind observes. It asks why something feels familiar, why it keeps returning, and what it might be pointing toward. This shift from reaction to observation transforms reflection into understanding. The thoughts that remain often highlight areas where change is needed. Be they point to patterns that no longer serve, choices that have been delayed, or questions that deserve attention. They are not instructions, but indicators. Ignoring them does not make them disappear. It simply delays engagement. Reflection, however, is not meant to trap the mind. It is meant to guide it. When awareness leads to conscious response rather than endless rumination, insight becomes practical. This is where understanding begins to influence behavior, shaping decisions subtly over time. Ultimately, the thoughts that stay with us are not messages imposed from outside. They are reflections amplified by readiness. They reveal what the mind is prepared to examine and what it is capable of integrating. By paying attention without attaching expectation, awareness becomes grounded rather than overwhelming. Why certain thoughts return? Once a thought has settled in the mind, it rarely stays silent without reason. Thoughts that return are not random interruptions. They often reflect patterns that have not yet been fully understood. The mind repeats what remains unresolved, not to create pressure, but to invite awareness. When something is incomplete, attention is naturally drawn back to it. Repetition is often misunderstood. Many people assume that recurring thoughts are a sign of distraction or overthinking, but repetition can also be a signal of relevance. The mind prioritizes what feels connected to ongoing experiences. When a thought aligns with internal questions or emotional states, it resurfaces because it carries unfinished meaning. Attention plays a central role in this process. Whatever the mind focuses on gains clarity, while everything else fades into the background. When a thought keeps returning, it is often because attention has not yet examined it deeply enough to understand its purpose. Avoidance strengthens repetition, while observation gradually dissolves it. There is also a difference between intrusive thoughts and reflective thoughts. Intrusive thoughts demand immediate reaction and often create discomfort. Reflective thoughts, however, return quietly. They do not force action, they wait. Their presence is subtle, and their persistence is gentle rather than overwhelming. Recognizing this difference helps the mind respond with curiosity instead of resistance. Memory also influences which thoughts stay. The mind naturally connects present moments with past experiences. When a current situation resembles something unresolved from before, related thoughts resurface automatically. This is not a flaw in thinking, but a mechanism designed to integrate experience. Awareness allows these connections to be seen rather than unconsciously repeated. Silence amplifies this process. In moments without distraction, the mind becomes aware of what it has been carrying. This is why certain thoughts appear during quiet times, not because they are new, but because nothing else is competing for attention. Stillness reveals what has been waiting beneath activity. Understanding this changes the relationship with recurring thoughts. Instead of trying to silence them, awareness begins to listen, not to obey, but to understand. When a thought is acknowledged without judgment, it often loses urgency. Meaning becomes clearer, and repetition naturally decreases. The purpose of returning thoughts is not to control behavior, but to invite reflection. They highlight areas that require attention, not action. Once awareness recognizes this, the mind no longer treats repetition as a problem, but as information. How recurring thoughts shape decisions. When a thought continues to return, it begins to influence perception, even when it is not consciously acknowledged. Decisions are rarely made in isolation. They are shaped by patterns of attention that develop over time. A recurring thought subtly alters how situations are interpreted, guiding responses without demanding immediate action. Most decisions are not the result of a single moment of clarity. They form gradually, as the mind revisits certain ideas and compares them against experience. When a thought remains present, it becomes part of the internal reference system the mind uses to evaluate choices. This is why some decisions feel aligned while others feel forced, even when both appear logical on the surface. Avoidance plays a significant role here. When a recurring thought is ignored, it does not disappear. Instead, it operates in the background. The mind continues to register it, influencing emotional reactions and preferences indirectly. This can create confusion, as actions may feel inconsistent with intention. Awareness brings these influences into view, allowing choice to become more conscious. There is also a distinction between pressure and guidance. Pressure feels urgent and demanding, often leading to impulsive decisions. Guidance, however, feels steady. It does not rush the mind, but provides a consistent point of reference. Recurring reflective thoughts tend to function as guidance rather than pressure, offering perspective rather than commands. As awareness increases, the mind begins to recognize which thoughts are aligned with values and which are driven by fear or habit. This recognition does not require immediate change. In fact, forcing action too quickly often creates resistance. Understanding develops first, and behavior adjusts naturally afterward. Clarity emerges when reflection replaces reaction. Instead of asking what should be done, awareness begins to ask what is being avoided or overlooked. This shift changes decision-making from a reactive process into an intentional one. Choices become responses to understanding rather than attempts to escape discomfort. Over time, recurring thoughts either integrate into understanding or fade as their purpose is fulfilled. When integration happens, decisions feel calmer and more grounded. There is less internal conflict, not because all questions are answered, but because the mind is no longer divided against itself. In this way, recurring thoughts are not obstacles to progress. They are indicators of where awareness is forming. When approached with patience, they refine judgment, strengthen alignment, and support decisions that feel internally consistent rather than externally imposed. Integration, awareness, and responsible action. As understanding deepens, the role of awareness shifts from observation to integration. At this stage, thoughts are no longer treated as separate events that need to be analyzed endlessly. Instead, they become part of a broader internal context, informing behavior without dominating it. Integration means allowing insight to influence action naturally, without force or urgency. Responsible action does not come from pressure. It comes from clarity. When awareness has fully examined a recurring thought, the mind no longer debates it internally. The need to overthink fades, and response becomes simpler. Actions taken from this state feel steady rather than dramatic, because they are grounded in understanding rather than reaction. Many people mistake urgency for importance. However, urgency often arises from fear or external expectation, while importance reveals itself through consistency. Thoughts that quietly return over time tend to hold more relevance than those that demand immediate attention. Recognizing this helps the mind slow down and choose intentionally rather than impulsively. Integration also involves discernment. Not every recurring thought requires action. Some exist to highlight internal patterns, while others invite adjustment. Awareness learns to distinguish between the two. This discernment prevents over-identification with thoughts and allows perspective to remain balanced. When awareness guides action, effort becomes more efficient. There is less resistance because the mind understands why a choice is being made. This reduces internal conflict and increases follow-through. Progress feels smoother, not because challenges disappear, but because direction is clear. Equally important is the willingness to remain flexible. Integration does not mean rigid commitment to a single interpretation. As circumstances change, understanding evolves. Awareness stays open, allowing insight to adjust rather than solidify into fixed belief. This adaptability keeps decisions aligned with present reality. Over time, this process builds trust within the mind. Trust not in external signs or guarantees, but in the ability to observe, reflect, and respond thoughtfully. This internal stability becomes a foundation for consistent growth, independent of external noise or shifting conditions. Ultimately, integration transforms recurring thoughts from distractions into reference points. They no longer interrupt the mind, they support it. When awareness and action align, movement forward feels natural, measured, and internally coherent. Deepening awareness and internal alignment. As awareness continues to develop, the mind begins to experience a noticeable shift. Thoughts no longer feel like interruptions that need to be managed or controlled. Instead, they are recognized as movements within awareness itself. This recognition changes the internal atmosphere. There is less tension, less urgency, and a greater sense of internal alignment. At this stage, understanding is no longer intellectual alone. It becomes experiential. The mind starts to sense when attention is drifting and when it is present. This sensitivity allows reflection to occur naturally, without forcing insight or chasing conclusions. Awareness becomes less about effort and more about noticing subtle changes in perception. Alignment does not mean that uncertainty disappears. It means that uncertainty is no longer threatening. When awareness is grounded, the mind can hold questions without rushing to resolve them. This patience creates space for deeper clarity to emerge over time, rather than being imposed prematurely. Many people attempt to resolve recurring thoughts by seeking external validation or definitive answers. While external input can offer perspective, alignment develops internally. It forms when awareness recognizes its own patterns and responds with understanding instead of resistance. This internal consistency reduces the need for constant reassurance. As this process unfolds, the mind becomes more selective with attention. Not every thought is followed, and not every impulse is acted upon. Discernment strengthens naturally. This does not lead to emotional detachment, but to emotional balance. Responses become measured, and reactions lose their intensity. With alignment, action begins to feel less conflicted. Choices arise from clarity rather than pressure. Even when decisions are challenging, they feel internally coherent. This coherence reduces regret and second-guessing, as actions are rooted in understanding rather than impulse. Over time, awareness develops a rhythm. Reflection, integration, and response flow together without sharp boundaries. The mind no longer oscillates between overthinking and avoidance. Instead, it moves steadily, guided by insight that has been earned through observation. This stage is not an endpoint. It is a stabilization of awareness that supports continued growth. Thoughts may still return, but their role changes. They are no longer signals of confusion, but reminders of perspective. Awareness remains open, flexible, and grounded. Stillness, meaning, and moving forward. As this reflection comes to a close, it is worth returning to stillness, not as an absence of thought, but as a balanced state where awareness is no longer pulled in multiple directions. Stillness allows everything that has been explored to settle naturally, without the need to organize or label it further. In this state, understanding becomes quiet but present. Meaning does not always arrive in the form of realization. Sometimes it appears as a subtle shift in how experiences are held. When awareness has matured through reflection, situations are no longer interpreted with the same urgency or intensity. The mind responds with greater patience, recognizing that not everything needs immediate resolution. This change often goes unnoticed because it is gradual. There is no dramatic moment marking progress. Instead, clarity reveals itself through consistency. Reactions soften, perspective widens, choices feel less conflicted. These are signs that awareness has integrated what it needed, even without conscious effort. It is important to remember that reflection is not a destination. It is an ongoing process that adapts as circumstances change. Thoughts may still return, questions may still arise, but they are met with understanding rather than resistance. Awareness remains open, capable of adjusting without losing stability. Moving forward does not require carrying every insight consciously. What has been understood will express itself naturally through behavior, attention, and decision-making. Trusting this process reduces the need to constantly monitor progress. Growth continues quietly when awareness is allowed to function without interference. If this reflection resonated, there is no expectation to hold on to it. Simply allowing it to pass through awareness is enough. Meaning integrates over time, often revealing itself through subtle shifts rather than immediate clarity. Thank you for spending this time in reflection. Conversations like this are not meant to provide answers, but to create space for understanding to emerge on its own. Awareness grows not through instruction, but through attention. Stillness as a source of clarity. As awareness matures further, stillness begins to take on a different meaning. It is no longer experienced as silence or absence, but as a stable background in which thoughts arise and dissolve without disturbance. In this state, the mind is not trying to arrive anywhere. It is simply present, observing without interference. This presence creates clarity not by effort, but by allowing perception to settle. Stillness does not eliminate thinking. Instead, it changes the relationship with thought. Ideas continue to appear, but they no longer compete for attention. Each thought is seen clearly, without urgency, and allowed to pass if it carries no relevance. This natural filtering strengthens discernment and reduces mental noise over time. Clarity that emerges from stillness is subtle. It does not announce itself or demand recognition. Often, it is felt as a quiet confidence in perception. Decisions become simpler, not because options disappear, but because the mind understands what no longer needs consideration. This simplicity is not limitation. It is focus refined through awareness. In stillness, meaning is no longer sought. It reveals itself through experience. Situations are interpreted with greater context, and reactions soften naturally. The mind responds to what is happening rather than what it fears might happen. This shift reduces internal tension and allows understanding to guide behavior calmly. Many people associate clarity with certainty, but stillness teaches something different. It shows that clarity can exist alongside uncertainty. The mind becomes comfortable holding unanswered questions without discomfort. This comfort prevents premature conclusions and supports more thoughtful engagement with experience. As this process continues, awareness becomes less reactive to external influence. Opinions, information, and stimuli are received without immediately shaping identity or direction. Reflection replaces absorption. This independence of perception strengthens internal balance and reduces confusion. Stillness also reveals patterns that were previously hidden by activity. Habits of thought, emotional responses, and attention loops become visible. Seeing these patterns without judgment allows them to loosen naturally. Change occurs not through resistance, but through understanding. At this stage, awareness feels spacious. There is room for experience without overwhelm. Thoughts, emotions, and perceptions coexist without conflict. This spaciousness supports long-term clarity, allowing insight to deepen gradually rather than being forced into conclusions. Integration, presence, and continuity. As this reflection reaches its conclusion, the focus naturally returns to presence, not as something to achieve, but as something already available. Awareness does not need to search for meaning once it has learned to observe without resistance. What remains is a steady attentiveness to experience as it unfolds, moment by moment, without interpretation becoming a burden. Integration at this stage is quiet. Nothing new needs to be added. The insights explored throughout this reflection settle into the background of awareness, influencing perception without demanding attention. This is how understanding becomes lasting, by blending into how the mind sees, listens, and responds, rather than standing apart as a concept to remember. Presence changes the quality of engagement with life. Situations are no longer approached with the same urgency to define or control outcomes. Instead, there is a willingness to meet experience as it is. This openness allows clarity to remain flexible, adapting to change without losing stability. The mind becomes responsive rather than reactive. Continuity is important here. Reflection does not end when the video ends. Awareness carries forward into everyday moments, into pauses between actions, into decisions made quietly, into responses shaped by understanding rather than habit. This continuity is subtle, but it is what transforms reflection into lived experience. There may still be moments of uncertainty, distraction, or restlessness. These are not setbacks. They are part of the rhythm of awareness. What changes is the relationship with them. Instead of resistance, there is recognition. Instead of judgment, there is observation. This shift preserves balance even when clarity feels distant. Nothing discussed here is meant to replace personal experience. Reflection serves only as an invitation to notice more carefully. What each person recognizes will differ, shaped by their own context and attention. Meaning forms individually, through engagement rather than instruction. As this conversation closes, there is no conclusion to reach and no outcome to expect. Awareness continues quietly, shaped by attention and patience. What matters is not holding on to these ideas, but allowing them to pass through naturally, leaving behind a deeper sense of clarity. Thank you for sharing this space of reflection. If you choose to continue exploring thoughtful conversations like this, they remain available. Awareness grows through presence, and presence deepens understanding over time.